Hello, fifth graders. Welcome to Sharif's Learning Center. I am Muhammad Sharif. We will be studying Unit 3 today, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and hopefully I can help you with this Unit 3 chapter, 5th grade English subject. Let's get to it now. So whenever I'm reading any chapter or any unit, I'm always looking at the picture because they're fun to look at. They're colorful. It has characters, so you can also be a detective by looking at the pictures, because that's what detectives do. They look at a situation, they look at the scenario, they look at the scenery and try to figure out what happened. So we're going to look at this picture and we're trying to analyze what's going on. And look at this, you're in class 5 and you're already analyzing things. So we're going to analyze this picture. So let's look at the picture. What do we have here? We have 3 persons. Looks like one older person, one younger, and one woman. We can look at the time. We can tell what time of the day it is. So in this case, it's evening. We can also see this lamp is lighting. So it's evening time. It could be daytime. Sometimes we have lamps during the daytime. But looking at the time, we can tell what time of the day they're sitting together and what they're doing. So now if we read this part, this is an introduction of each person. So this is going to tell us who does what. So let's read and find out. Shaikat looks like he's a little boy. Shaikat Islam lives with his parents in a flat in Bogora. So now we know they're in Bogora, not in Dhaka, and they live in a flat. His father, Mr. Rashidul Islam, is a banker. His father, Mr. Rashidul Islam, is a banker. But in his free time, Mr. Islam writes stories and listens to music. So what does his father do? He's a banker. And what does he do in his free time? He writes stories and listens to music. Shaikat's mother is Mrs. Manwara Islam. She's a housewife. In her free time, she enjoys sewing. She makes dresses. She often gets orders from her friends and neighbors. What does Shaikat's mother do? She's a housewife. She also sews, and she sews dresses for her friends as well, friends and neighbors. Friends are friends, and neighbors are people who live around you. So she also sews for her friends and neighbors. And it says she gets orders from them. So she is well known in her area. How about that? Now we're going to talk about Shaikat. Shaikat is in class 5. He's a good student. He wants to improve in his English. So he watches cartoon on TV every day. Watching English shows, cartoons, will help you with your English listening skill. He also reads English books. So he also practices reading. See, he also reads English books. He likes books about animals, especially tigers and lions. Now I have to mention one thing. Look at the very last line. They used the word especially, E-S-P-E-C-I-A-L-L-Y, especially. Now this is similar to specially, S-P-E-C-I-A-L-L-Y. What's the difference? I couldn't find any. But mostly I find especially in the middle of a sentence than in the beginning. So if you say it in the beginning, so you'll be using specially, S-P-E-C-I-A-L-L-Y. They have similar, same meaning. I have asked a professor in the US, and even she couldn't think about it. People just use it, they don't really think about it. So how do you pronounce it? Especially, specially, specially, specially. You don't say especially, it's specially, it's a little bit of hint of E. Specially, specially. So that's the difference I want to mention. Now we're going to move on to page 11. Page 11 has a table, and you're going to learn what a table is. Your dad uses this, sometimes your mom uses this. At work we have a schedule. You also might have schedule in your school. So this is a schedule. So lines that go across are called rows. Lines go from top to bottom are called columns. Rows and columns. In this case, our column lists, the first one lists all the individuals like Shaikat, mother and father, and rows list what they do. So you would call this a title row. Title. This is the title. Like what are we going to have in this column? Title says 6 p.m. So what are they going to do at 6 p.m.? All going to be listed here. So if you need to find anything, you just match column with row, and you'll find who does what when. And there are, if you don't have to memorize, I don't think, but if you understand this very well, there are exercises even in next page that refers to this table. So pay attention to this table. So we're going to go to the bottom of the page 11, language focus. Page 11, language focus. Now it's language. I hear some people say language. No, language. G. Language, biology, not biology, it's biology. So here it says past continuous. I know we don't talk about grammar. I don't like grammar. I don't like grammar. But we have to know grammar. But we're going to try not to go into detail. But you'll have to know grammar for your school. But I suggest you to learn English through understanding more than relying on grammar entirely, because study has shown that students who learn English through grammar are about 25% less efficient, 15 or 25% less efficient than students who learn English or any language through understanding. So reason, grammar makes your English correct, but at the same time, grammar doesn't tell you what context you're in. So if you're overly confident that you can write English perfectly and don't pay attention to the context, what you're doing, who you're talking to, then you'll be writing perfect English sentences or saying English sentences, but it might not apply to that area. So learning English through understanding is faster than learning through grammar, but you will still have to learn grammar for your class, and every now and then you will be using grammar. But like, let's say you're in a situation, you know the context and everything, but you just don't know which one goes before or after what. That's when your grammar will come handy. So anyway, so try to learn English through understanding, like Shaker does. He watches cartoon, he reads English books, and possibly he practices with his friends. So we're going to talk about past continuous. Past means before. Anything before this moment. It can be a second before this moment or days or years before this moment. Something before this moment is past. And something was happening is called continuous. Whatever was happening, let's say 2 minutes before this, whatever was happening, that was happening at that time. There's something happened and finished, and something kept on happening, that's continuous. So we use past continuous to talk about actions happening at a specific time in the past. So at a specific time, not like in the past I was doing this. No. Well, it can, but it has to be for a period of time. So in this example, it said, now if you say in the past, that's a specific too, but I was doing this is incomplete sentence, like you was doing at what time? When I saw you wasn't doing anything, right? So then you say a specific time. In this case, it says, yesterday at 7 o'clock, I was walking to school. At 7 o'clock, he was walking to school. Walking is doing something, right? So he was walking to school. Yesterday at 8 o'clock, my friend and I were sitting in our classroom. So at 8 o'clock, his friend and he were sitting. Now, remember, whenever you're referring to others in your sentence and you are involved in that story, then you put yourself at the end. So, John, Rahim, and I. Akbar, Mubarak, and I. You don't say I, Akbar, Mubarak. Now, if you're talking about, let's say, Mubarak, then you say Firdaus, Akbar, and Mubarak, because Mubarak is the subject. You're not in it, if you're not in it. But if you're in it, you always put yourself at the end of after referring everyone else. Remember that part. So that's what they did, my friend and I. And in this case, they used plural. Instead of was, earlier they said was, in this case they said were. Were is plural of was. So whenever it's more than one person, you use were, W-E-R-E, instead of was. Now, you use were, W-E-R-E, instead of were or was. We're going to go to the next page, page 12, language focus, which is section G. It says, use of while. Now you use while when two things are happening at the same time. It has to happen at the same time, not like one before another. Both has to happen at the same time, and they're talking about past continuous. So we're going to make it, we're going to challenge you a little bit. Now that you know what past continuous is, we're going to ask you to use past continuous with while. So how do we do it? We sometimes use while in the past continuous. That's what it says in the book. Basically, it's past continuous. Remember the earlier rule. You use your verb with ing, auxiliary verb, and then verb with ing. I was eating, I was walking. So you put ing at the end of verb, and you have an auxiliary verb there. So here we have, yesterday at 7 o'clock, I was walking to school while my friends were in a rickshaw, riding in a rickshaw. So both were happening. He was walking and his friends were riding in the rickshaw. Both were happening at the same time. So I was walking to school while my friends were riding in a rickshaw. So if you're telling your mom or dad what was he doing or what happened yesterday, you could say, and this was your situation, you say, well, I was walking to school while my friends were riding rickshaw to school. Now, in this case, basically, it could be like, convincing your parents to let you go to school in rickshaw as well. But basically, it says both things happen at the same time. Second example, yesterday at 8 o'clock, my friends and I were sitting in our classroom while Miss Khanna was teaching. So past continuous. My friends and I were sitting in our classroom while Miss Khanna was teaching. So we are both things happening at the same time. Next part is fill in the blank. Fill in the blank is fun part. Basically, you have most of the information, you're missing a little bit of information, and then you get that information and sentence, you fill up the sentence. So then it makes sense. I mean, people who know the answer, it's like a secret code. It's a secret message. So someone knows, let's say I know the answer and you know the answer, but you don't send me the whole thing. You send me with some part missing, and then when I know the answer, I put that part in there and it becomes a full message. So it's a secret code sort of thing. So it's fun. So if you look at section K1, it says mother was watching TV while Shaikat, and it filled it out for you, was going to bed. Now how do we know Shaikat was going to bed? It says mother was watching TV. So if we go back to this table in page 11, section D, we'll look at mother, and when does she watch TV? At 11 p.m. So what does Shaikat do at 11 p.m.? He goes to bed. So that's how it says Shaikat was going to bed. Now it doesn't say Shaikat is in the bed, he goes to the bed. So that's why we're using past continuous. So he was going to the bed. So your table says go to bed. That's at 11 o'clock, go to bed. That's an action. So that's what he was doing. Shaikat was going to, when she was doing this, he was doing that. So we're using while. Also, we're using past continuous. So this is how you fill out the rest of the, fill in the blanks. We're going to move on to page 13. Page 13, there's some sound practice. This is fun. I always like to do it. L, section L. S, S, S. S is for Sue. Z, Z, Z. Z is for zoo. Sh, sh, sh. Sh is for shoe. Sue is at the zoo, but she's got only one shoe. Silly Sue has lost her shoe. What is she gonna do? Section M. Look, listen, and say. Zh, zh, zh. Zh as in treasure. Zh, zh, zh. Zh as in measure. Zh, zh, zh. Zh as in leisure. Measure, measure, measure. Treasure, treasure, treasure. Measure your treasure in your leisure. Alrighty, that was fun. Alright, there's some pictures at the bottom of the page. We're going to try to pronounce them. This looks like a pencil sharpener. Pencil sharpener. Zebra. Ship. sun, dress, or you can say shirt, zoo. This could be a cake. This seems like a sandwich. Alrighty, that completes your unit 2. Next time when we're together, we will be studying unit 4. Thank you for taking the time and attending this class, and hopefully this was helpful to you. Always ask for help from your parents and your teachers. Never be shy to ask questions. There's always there's no dumb question. There can be dumb answers. So don't be afraid of asking questions. More you ask, smarter you're going to get. Alrighty, thank you again. Have a nice day.